The irony was cruel, the kind that would make even the universe smirk. 3 days after Ethan posted his engagement photos with that perfect, smiling Omega on Instagram, 2 pink lines appeared on my bathroom counter like a cosmic punchline. I laughed first. Then I cried so hard I almost broke the sink. It had been 6 months since the divorce. 6 months since I packed my life into cardboard boxes and moved out of the house that smelled like cedar, coffee, and the ghost of us. Ethan was always the composed one, the alpha who never lost control, the man whose calm made people trust him. And me? I was the chaos he once said made him feel alive, until it made him tired. Now, standing under the flickering bathroom light, hands trembling around a test stick, I could almost hear his voice again, steady, low, promising forever. Forever, as it turned out, had an expiration date. I wasn't supposed to be able to get pregnant. That was what the doctors said, what I believed, what Ethan and I had mourned together once in quiet frustration. And yet here it was, a fragile miracle blooming right when everything else had died. The morning after, I stared at my reflection, pale, exhausted, but different. There was a strange kind of strength hiding behind the fear. I wasn't sure if it came from the life growing inside me or from the sudden realization that maybe, just maybe, I didn't need Ethan anymore. Still, the pain refused to leave. Every news headline about him and his new fiancée Daniel, a doctor with that perfect suburban smile, felt like another twist of the knife. I'd scroll past, tell myself it didn't matter, and then lie awake replaying the way Ethan used to trace circles on my back before falling asleep. How he'd whisper things like, "You're my home, Liam." Funny how homes can be sold, renovated, or just left to rot. The town of Maple Falls was too small to hide from your past. Every grocery trip, every coffee run, every walk down Main Street felt like a gamble. I saw him once outside the post office, Ethan, laughing with Daniel, that easy warmth that used to belong to me. I ducked into an alley before he could see me, clutching my coat around me like armor. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to tell him. He had his new life. I had mine. And this tiny heartbeat was mine alone. But fate, or whatever cruel writer was scripting my story, wasn't done with me yet. A week later, I woke up to pounding at my door. It was raining hard, thunder shaking the walls. I opened it to find Ethan standing there, drenched, eyes wild with something that looked like desperation. "Liam," he said, voice raw. "We need to talk." The sight of him soaked, beautiful, furious hit me like a memory I didn't ask for. "You shouldn't be here," I managed, heart racing. "Your fiancé might not like that." He flinched. "Daniel's not," he stopped, exhaling hard. "This isn't about him. It's about you." I tried to sound indifferent. "There's nothing left to talk about, Ethan." But he stepped forward anyway, closing the distance. "Then why did you disappear? Why did you leave without saying goodbye properly?" I wanted to scream that he was the one who walked away first, that I'd begged him to stay, that he chose silence over love. But all I said was, because goodbye was the only thing we had left. For a moment, the storm outside was nothing compared to the one between us. His gaze dropped to my trembling hands, and something flickered in his expression: suspicion, confusion, fear. Then he noticed my body, the way I instinctively held my stomach when the thunder cracked. "Liam," he whispered, voice breaking. "Are you?" I froze. The world seemed to stop. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The truth hung heavy in the air between us, fragile and unstoppable. His eyes widened, every emotion I'd ever known flashing across his face at once: shock, disbelief, guilt, and something dangerously close to hope. He took a step closer, whispering my name again like it was a prayer. I turned away. "Don't. Please, don't make this harder than it already is." But Ethan never knew how to give up once he loved something. He reached out, gently catching my wrist, his touch both a comfort and a curse. "Liam, tell me it's not mine," he said, voice trembling. "Tell me, and I'll walk away." Silence. Just the rain tapping against the window like a heartbeat. Finally, I whispered, "I can't." His breath hitched. And in that tiny, terrible moment, Every lie we'd built our lives around crumbled. The thunder outside roared, or maybe it was just my pulse. Ethan stepped closer, his hand hovering near my face. "You should have told me," he said softly. "You should have stayed." I shot back, my voice breaking. We stood there, two broken halves of a love that refused to die, rainwater dripping from his hair, my tears mixing with it until I couldn't tell where pain ended and forgiveness began. Ethan didn't leave that night. He sat in silence on my couch, dripping water onto the carpet, staring at nothing. The only sound was the soft hum of the heater and my uneven breathing. When he finally spoke, his voice was small. "I thought I lost you for good." I wanted to be angry to tell him he didn't get to say things like that anymore. But I was tired. Too tired to hate him. Too tired to carry both the baby and my bitterness at the same time. "You did," I said simply. "You lost me when you stopped fighting for us." He looked up then, his eyes full of something I couldn't name. Regret, maybe, or realization. "Liam, I didn't stop. I thought I was doing the right thing. You said you didn't want to keep hurting each other." "Yeah, I said that," I admitted. "But I never said I wanted you gone." The silence stretched again. Outside, the storm began to fade, the sound of rain softening to a whisper. He stood up slowly and walked toward me, hesitating like he was approaching a wounded animal. "Can I?" he asked quietly, his eyes flicking to my stomach. I should have said no. I should have told him it wasn't his place anymore. But something inside me, the same stubborn hope that had survived every heartbreak, made me nod. He reached out, trembling fingers resting gently against me. His hand was warm, reverent, and when he felt the faintest flutter beneath, his breath caught. "God," he whispered. "That's really yours," I finished for him. He closed his eyes, shoulders shaking with a quiet sob he tried to hide. It was the first time I'd ever seen Ethan break. And somehow, it didn't make me feel powerful or vindicated, it just made me ache all over again. He stayed the night, sleeping on the couch even though I knew he barely slept at all. In the morning, I woke to the smell of coffee and toast. He stood by the stove, shirt wrinkled, hair a mess, looking so human it almost broke me. "You still take 2 sugars, right?" he asked. I didn't answer, but when he handed me the mug, our fingers brushed, and that was answer enough. Days turned into weeks. Ethan kept showing up to fix the leaky faucet, to bring groceries, to check on doctor's appointments. I told myself it was just about the baby, but every time our eyes met, the air between us filled with all the things we didn't say. One afternoon, I found him standing in the nursery I hadn't finished yet. The sunlight poured through the window, dust motes floating around him like quiet confessions. He was holding one of the tiny blankets I'd folded. "Do you ever think," he said softly, "that maybe we weren't broken, just scared?" I swallowed hard. "I think we were both, and we let fear do the talking." He turned to me then, eyes wet. "Liam, I can't fix what I ruined, but I want to try to be here not just for the baby, but for you. If you'll let me." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But I'd learned that love wasn't always enough. It had to be steady. It had to be real, not just regret dressed up as devotion. "Ethan," I said, voice trembling, "you're getting married." He gave a broken laugh. "Not anymore." The words hit me like lightning. "What?" "I ended it," he said simply, "because it wasn't love. I was running from the ghost of you, and I can't do that anymore." For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then he crossed the room and cupped my face, his thumb brushing away a tear I didn't realize had fallen. "I don't expect forgiveness," he whispered, "but I'll spend every day trying to earn it." The world seemed to hold its breath. Then, without thinking, I leaned forward just enough for our foreheads to touch. His breath mingled with mine, warm and trembling. It wasn't the desperate kiss of our past. It was something gentler, something like peace. Weeks later, as winter turned to spring, we stood together outside the small cabin on the edge of town, our new start. Ethan painted the porch white himself, even though he was terrible at it. I teased him, and he laughed in that old, boyish way that made my chest ache with nostalgia and hope. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, I felt the baby kick for the first time, while Ethan's arms were wrapped around me from behind. We both froze, then burst out laughing pure, breathless joy. He pressed a kiss to my temple. "Do you think he'll have your eyes?" he asked. I smiled. "I just hope he gets your stubbornness. Might keep him alive in this world." Ethan chuckled, resting his chin on my shoulder. "We'll figure it out," he said softly. "Together this time." And somehow I believed him. Because love isn't about perfection, it's about staying when the storm passes, about building something gentle out of all the hurt. And as I watched the last light fade over Maple Falls, with his hand resting on mine and our child's heartbeat steady and strong, I realized something simple, something true. Some stories don't need to end to find peace. They just need to begin again, softer, slower, and finally in the right way. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of forever. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.